Hi guys, it's Spirit. Today we're in the Clean Living Lab. And as promised, I'm going to do a video on what I believe is another really insidious health harm that we want to be looking for, and it's just a matter of being vigilant. What I want you to understand is that 90% of the cooking oils and even the food in people's pantries went through a harsh, high-heat chemical bath before reaching the grocery shelf. If your label doesn't explicitly say how it was made, it was likely stripped using harmful petroleum solvents like hexane just to maximize its shelf life and yield. So today, we're breaking down the exact difference between true cold-pressed, expeller-pressed, and these chemical-extracted oils so you can protect yourself from the harmful contaminants in our food. So for those of you who don't know, this is Spirit. I practiced pharmacy for over 30 years in many different settings, including research institutes, and I also spent 13 years as a drug, device, and cosmetic regulator and criminal health fraud investigator. This channel is dedicated to thriving in this unavoidable toxic soup that has become our world. And today, we're going to talk about oils, which appear in so much of our food supply, especially processed foods. My other channel, The Pharmacist, was created to help people transition through the disclosure of the corruption all around us. So you'll want to check out that channel too. Both links will be in the description. So in our discussion about oils, it's important to know that there are multiple issues with oils. So it's going to be a little more complex than just picking and using non-plastic stuff like our other one. But I'm going to break it down really easy for you, and it's not going to be so tough to start identifying and removing them. In fact, when I went through, I've got a few examples of you. I wanted to kind of shock you with the kind of stuff that have oils in them, these refined oils. But we've been doing this for a while, Tim and I went through our cabinets, and it was really difficult for me to find things because we have removed most of these harmful oils from our diet for several months now. So, and even more than months for us, we've been on this bandwagon about the oils for some time. We've been aware of it. So, in our discussion about oils, it's important to know that there are multiple issues with these oils. When evaluating the health profile of oils, it's important to distinguish between their chemical structure, how they were processed, and their appropriate culinary applications. The quick takeaway for the three types of oils are that there are saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, and polyunsaturated fats. Now, let me just give you a quick down and dirty on these. The saturated fats are stable at high temperatures, and they're naturally resistant to oxidation. The monounsaturated fats are generally cold-pressed and contain polyphenols and antioxidants. And the polyunsaturated fats are highly processed, refined seed oils. But wait till you hear about what refined actually means. First is that heating some oils can produce harmful substances. And second, the very extraction process can add even more health concerns. How that oil is extracted from the food that it might have started with. It's not important to know or to have a long list of names to look for. It's important to understand the chemistry so that you can make informed decisions without having to search a huge database. When we move the oil from the bottle to the pan, our focus becomes one of thermal stability instead of a chemical extraction issue. So we have two things we want to look at. We want to look at the stability of these oils and what happens to them when they're heated, which can be harmful. And we want to look at the extraction process that can leave all kinds of nasty junk behind that can be harmful and is related to various health conditions. Heat causes the breakdown of nearly everything eventually. And in a pan, there's an accelerated breakdown of the components in the oil, even with the purest extraction. So just because it may say, which very few oils do other than coconut oil or olive oil, but even if you were to find especially healthy mono unsaturated oil of some kind, even if it's the purest extraction, you're still going to have issues when it hits the pan. So understand that even with the highest quality raw, organic, cold-pressed oil can become highly toxic if it's exposed to particular conditions of heat, oxygen, and or light. Now, plastic bottles, of course, we spoke about extensively in a previous video. But briefly, it's important to know that you should never buy any type of oil that comes in a plastic bottle, because then you are adding even more toxins that are unrelated to the extraction process or the heat stability of the oil. Now you're adding the fact that oils suck plastics out of plastic containers. So you're adding the microplastic problem to this equation if you buy an oil in a plastic jar or bottle, and many of them, many, as you'll see in that other video, come in plastic. Many oils and oil-based ingredients come in plastic bottles, and you should avoid that. I'll link the video about plastics, which will help you cut out 80 to 90% of these harmful plastics that they're now finding in our bodies from our food supply with just a few simple changes. So let's first discuss why certain oils are structurally safer to cook with and understand the specific chemical transformations to watch out for. Every oil is made of fatty acid, which are the chains of carbon atoms. You know how if you ever had a science class or a chemistry class, biology class, everything is made up of carbon atoms, right? And then there's things stuck onto those carbon atoms, various other molecules that are stuck onto there. So the stability of that chemical bond between the carbon atom and what's attached to it is the single most important factor that we have to look for. So let's look at the three basic types of fats and their chemical structures. They are saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats. The saturated fats are the most stable. And this is what it's so odd when I look at what we've been told in the past, but there's been fear porn all over the place about saturated fats like butter, right? Oh, don't use them, it's going to clog up your arteries and all this stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is that these saturated fats are the most stable to cook with. So that's coconut oil, butter, or ghee. Every single carbon atom in those saturated fats have a hydrogen atom attached to them, or multiple hydrogen atoms attached to them, which makes them very, very strong, stable bonds. It's hard to pull that hydrogen off that carbon. There's none of the weaker double bonds in the entire chain of a saturated fat, because they are incredibly resistant to both heat and oxygen. They rarely oxidize or break down in cooking, so if you're going to heat, use coconut oil, butter, or ghee. That's Ghee. I've never used it myself. Okay, the second category is monounsaturated fats. They include fats like avocado oil and olive oil. These monounsaturated fats contain one double bond in the chain that will break down, so they're more stable, but not as stable as the saturated. But they're a very good option. The key here is that they are relatively stable, and if you keep them under 375 degrees, there's minimal breakdown of the monounsaturated fats. Extra virgin olive oil is predominantly monounsaturated oleic acid, which when exposed to higher temperatures, it can break down to something called acrolein, which is classified as an extremely hazardous, highly reactive, and acutely toxic substance. So if you push even your EVOO past 375, you aren't necessarily destroying the monounsaturated fat right away, but you are rapidly burning off the protective antioxidants and creating acrolein, the chemical that causes the acrid, stinging smoke. That's how you know. So olive oil is okay to cook with as long as you don't burn it. According to the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, long-term or repeated exposure to lower levels of acrolein vapors lead to severe tissue restructuring. The EPA classifies acrolein as having inadequate data. Inadequate, that's always a good catch-all. To conclusively label it, inhaled acrolein, as a definite human carcinogen on its own. But it's officially listed now as Category 2 suspected of causing cancer due to its mutagenic properties. We also spoke about the acrolein production when some plastics are heated up in our plastics video, like putting plastic in the microwave. It has a unique chemical property which binds directly and aggressively to glutathione, which is the body's primary master antioxidant. By depleting glutathione at the cellular level, the acrolein triggers massive oxidative stress and thereby damaging healthy tissue. And because acrolein is highly volatile, it quickly changes to a vapor when heated. So this is what you're seeing when the oil smokes, and it acts as a direct chemical irritant by reacting with the proteins and cellular linings. Before we move on, I want to make a point about olive oils. Many bottles of olive oil are not 100% olive oil, even though they say they are on the front label. I don't have one to show you because we always check to see it's pure olive oil. So always look at the ingredients and don't just assume that it's olive oil because it says so on the front label. Often when you look on the ingredients on the back, you will find it's partial canola and other oils. And as far as we know, I'm sorry I didn't take the time to research this to see if there's laws regarding this, but there's so little laws regarding any labeling of foods and regulation of foods at this point that I think it was a moot point anyway. But consider this. What if the olive oil says olive oil on the front and it's only 10% olive oil and 90% canola or other oils? That's a total possibility. So always look on the back. Canola oil is the same thing as rapeseed oil, which is high in erucic acid that's been linked to heart issues in high-dose animal studies. Also, most canola is extracted using hexane and high heat, and then refined, bleached, and deodorized. So there's inevitably lots of contaminants left over in canola oil. To top that, 95% of North American canola is GMO, genetically modified, for herbicide resistance. So if you see canola, we never buy anything. And it's in candies, it's in everything you can imagine, canola oil. We get so disappointed because we think it says healthy and we think we have a healthy treat, and we look on the back and it's got canola oil. Add to the fact that canola is high in omega-6, which is linoleic acid, relative to its omega-3s. Excessive omega-6 may promote inflammation, especially when your omega-3 intake is low. So unlike the olive oil that it's mixed with, canola is polyunsaturated fat, which brings us to the third group of oils. But suffice to say that Timmy and I avoid canola oil at all costs. So now we're going to look at the polyunsaturated fats, like corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, and sunflower oils, which contain multiple double bonds that are highly unstable. Major health organizations like the American Heart Association emphasize that the body cannot produce essential polyunsaturated fats, which contain both omega-3s and omega-6s. For this reason, they are often called heart healthy, but the processing instability contaminates them with lots of harmful stuff. So it's not the polyunsaturated fats that are bad necessarily, it's the way they've been processed, because they're very unstable. So you can't really use them for cooking because they'll break down to all this harmful stuff. And even if you did try to use them for cooking, if they were not harmful in cooking and you drank them raw, they still are highly contaminated from the extraction processes. So I look to sources other than just high in omega-3 and 6. Instead of oils to get these heart-healthy omegas, you can eat fatty fish, very high in it. The sardines and salmon is excellent if you're a fish eater. Flax is also high in the omegas. Walnuts are also very high in them. And you get your omega. So for omega 3s, that's the fishes, the flax, and walnuts. And then you can get your omega 6 with nuts, seeds, and whole food vegetables, rather than highly processed vegetable oils. We avoid these highly processed oils at all costs, as I said. Okay, now we're going to look at the other thing that's done to this, which makes them very unhealthy and perhaps very harmful for our bodies. And that's the means of extraction. How did they get that oil out of the food? What seed, food, whatever it is, olive. Okay. So remember I said that there's multiple concerns with oils. That's because the heat stability is just one of them. And that is whether it's the type of oil, what the exact oil is, right? The other is actually how they're processed before they hit that bottle on your store shelf. So let's take a look at the 3 general ways that prepare these oils for the shelf through extraction. The worst is solvent extraction. High processed oils through solvent extraction. This is removing the oils through chemicals like hexane. Extraction is then followed by refinement. Solvent extraction is the most common method used for large-scale commercial production, like most canola, soybean, and corn oils, and sunflower also. And so these oils in an ingredient list are defined as deal breakers for us also. So if we look on the back and it has one of those highly processed oils of canola, soybean, corn, or sunflower, we avoid them. The various seeds are prepared for cleaning first by flaking and cooking, or they call it conditioning. So right off the bat, you're running into the preparation, heats those oils up, which breaks down those highly sensitive bonds in the polyunsaturated fats, and there you go, you have the toxins in it. So what this does is they often pre-press first with an expeller to remove a portion of the oil, but they want to get more out of the seeds, so the cake of the expeller remains are soaked or percolated with a solvent, which is typically the hexane that dissolves the oils out of that leftover cake. The solvent oil mixture is called micella, and it's separated. So you might even see micella. Maybe they'll get creative and you'll see that, M-I-C-E-L-L-A. Okay, so once they mix that solvent and oil together, it's called micella. Then the hexane is evaporated or otherwise recovered and recycled using heat and steam distillation. Again, with the heat. These are cheaper. Oh, sorry. These guys are cheaper than I am, okay? So the oil is then further processed. Very high extraction efficiency leaves less than 1% of the oil in the cake. So 1%, and they've got to use hexane on them to remove that 1%. However, it involves chemicals and high heat. Trace hexane residue can remain, and they are allegedly strictly regulated to contain very low levels under 10 parts per million. But here's the rub. There's no post-production testing of these foods. It's not required. They don't have a clue. Nobody knows if it's under 10 parts per million, not even the manufacturer. So, it's just some of these laws are highly ineffective in protecting us. It seems like it is, and the agencies can tout it, and the manufacturers of these foods can tout this stuff, but until you show me an analysis of every batch showing that it's under that 10 parts per million of hexane, how can I trust you? So there's no post-production, so that would require that level to be under 10 parts per million. Then there's the issue of bioaccumulation, which I've talked about many times before, and I will talk about it many times again. Bioaccumulation occurs of these toxins occurs from multiple sources of hexane residue. So this strict regulation of 10, even if they did have it, is very meaningless, because if you're taking those extracted oils, those hexane extracted oils in multiple sources, which I'll bet if you look in your cabinet right now, you'll find, I'm going to say, I don't know how much you keep on hand, but you'll find 20 products that have these extracted oils that are dirty, and the polyunsaturated oils that break down so rapidly. So the final result of this chemical extraction is that it's the most cost-effective oil for the manufacturer, the cheapest, okay? But then there's the consumer, and this high heat and refining can oxidize the polyunsaturated fats and reduce the natural antioxidants in these foods. So there's also a significant loss of the beneficial minor components, like the vitamins and the phytosteroids, which are in the cell membranes of plants, and lower blood cholesterol levels. So these phytosteroids in our plants lower our blood cholesterol. So when they say don't eat butter, well, that's if you're eating a bunch of other processed garbage too. But if you're eating your plants like you should, they contain the phytosteroids that will break down that cholesterol. That's why they tell you, if you have high cholesterol, eat leafy green vegetables. It's because of the phytosterols in them. Not necessarily the fact that they're not high in cholesterol, but they actually have the medicine in the plants. They have your own statins, so to speak, in the plants. These phytosterols are found in many foods like sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and pistachios, as well as lentils and chickpeas and all kinds of good stuff. They're in veggies and fruits, but to a lower level. Cold-pressed, unrefined oils like extra virgin olive oil retain more of these sterols than the highly processed, refined industrial oils, which strip them away during high heat bleaching and deodorizing. So from a nutrient standpoint, removal of the phytosterols aren't directly harmful. It's just that the nutritional benefits of them are destroyed. The medicinal nutritional benefits of them are destroyed. But stripping nutrients aren't the only problem with chemical extraction of oils. There's the post-extraction refining that causes even more health concerns. Solvent-extracted oils are refined, bleached, and deodorized, as I said. This is called the RBD process. They're also degummed and neutralized. The bleaching uses a clay to remove color, and of course some impurities, and of course additional beneficial compounds are removed in this stage using the clay. Next comes the deodorizing, where the oil is steam distilled under a vacuum to remove odors and flavors which involve high heat. Again, more destruction of Mother Nature's medicines. The process produces a long, stable shelf life for the manufacturer and the distributors, but it significantly reduces the natural nutrients, antioxidants, and flavor, while increasing oxidation products in there, which are harmful to our body. When oils like unstable polyunsaturated fats, such as corn, soybean, canola, or sunflower oils, are oxidized by heat, light, or oxygen, they break down into harmful byproducts like aldehydes and liquid peroxides, which can cause the root of most illness, systemic inflammation. Vascular damage by harming the endothelial lining of our blood vessels, which is the cause of atherosclerosis and heart disease. And cellular stress, which can damage cellular DNA and proteins. So I want you to start looking for these oils on the ingredient panel before you buy your favorite food, and then ask yourself why cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death in the U.S. and responsible for 1 in 3 deaths. Okay, so let's look at a step up in the processing of oils, and that is expeller pressed oils. Mind you, this isn't a little expeller, hand expeller. These are big machines, okay? So this is extracting the oils with a mechanical screw press. Again, the seeds are first cleaned, which apparently there's no problem with the cleaning. They're flaked, and sometimes a light heating that softens the seed for more complete extraction. So there may be a light heating, but again, we don't get into the, it depends on the oil, of course. If it's a sunflower or corn oil or something like that, corn is big. And again, corn, guys, almost all corn, unless it says so, is GMO. So understand that. If you see corn, you're eating GMO in all probability. It must say organic or non-GMO. So in this mechanical pressure, so they heat them up a little bit, but not to the point that it's going to start creating the really bad smoking and toxins. So once they're fed into that press, it applies mechanical pressure. So the friction itself generates some heat, depending on the setup. But there's no external solvents in expeller pressed oils. And that's the big concern. So expeller pressed oils are solvent free, but they can have a lower nutrient retention than true cold pressing due to the frictional heat, which can begin to degrade the heat sensitive compounds in the oil. Expeller expressed oils don't have the hexane and other hydrocarbon petroleum contaminants, but have reduced antioxidants and omega fatty acids in them. So just remember that. Expeller press may be less nutritious. It's not a deal breaker for Tim and I, but if you are eating for the nutrition to keep your body operating as intended, always go with cold pressed expeller oils. Tim and I almost always buy cold pressed expeller oils, and only in glass bottles, as I mentioned, because we're avoiding the microplastics as well. Cold pressing is done by first cleaning the seeds or nuts first. Sometimes they're lightly crushed, and while there's no external heat applied, the friction and the pressure of the machines can create low temperatures, but they're generally around the same temperature of the body or less. So you don't lose a lot. The oil is then simply filtered and allowed to settle in the bottle. Cold pressed seeds and nuts have the highest natural purity. They retain the oil's original flavor, color, aroma, vitamins, antioxidants, and the beneficial minor compounds that are in it, like the phytosterols and polyphenols. So they're generally considered the most nutrient dense. That's the cold pressed expellers are the most nutrient dense with better preservation of sensitive polyunsaturated fats like omega-3s and antioxidants, which again support anti-inflammatory effects and overall nutrition. Ultimately, raw whole food will always have the most nutrients and the least toxins if you're eating for the highest nutritional value. If you like what I'm doing, guys, like, subscribe, comment, and please share. We want to make the RFK is doing a great job of cleaning up our food supply, but it can't all be done at once. We'd literally have no food on the shelves if he changed everything. So, and there's many reasons why it can't. Hopefully, he'll get FDA a little more involved in our food, in the Department of Agriculture, as opposed to, or at least get the Department of Agriculture onto more awareness of the health aspects of it. I did a couple things for you. First, let's see. It was really hard. This was in a container that we had that Tim saw it. He loved them. They were yum. Olives, okay? Bottle of olives that he was loving, and it had chili in it. They were a little spicy. He loved it. So he bought them because they were really cheap, and he learned that they have sunflower oil in them. So that was a no-go for us, and it went into the box that we have for the food pantry. Other things, this one. I found this again. I'm sure that when he hears this, it'll go right into the food pantry, but I did find it. This is rice and red beans, and it's Goya, which I always felt was a pretty good thing. We find that most of the contaminated foods, not most, a lot of them, a lot more of them are in the American food supply. When I buy things from Italy or things imported from Mexico, they're usually safer, believe it or not, because they don't have all these sophisticated manufacturing processes that they're going through. This particular one, this Goya rice and red beans, has got both sunflower and palm in it. So that will go away. This puppy here. Did I bring my glasses here? I should have, but maybe I didn't. And here's the thing that bugs us so much. These labels have become increasingly impossible to read. There's white on light pink. How in the world is somebody supposed to read that? We always bring reading glasses when we go to a store, otherwise, a grocery store, otherwise. Okay, so this Mrs. Mustard was a spicy mustard that we got. Here's the thing about mustards, okay? Mustard seeds. Were they just crushed? How were they extracted? So this has mustard seeds in it to begin with, but this particular one also has high polyunsaturated fat, one of the most processed, soybean oil in it. So that's also going away. And that's basically, other than our pet food, and let me go over that for you. So I went into the pets, because, these little guys, at least ours, are 8 pounds. Wolfie's kind of a wide load, so he's about 12 pounds at this point, because he's like a horse, but and lays around a lot. But our little pets are so small compared to us. And I thought, gosh, if they're doing this to us, what are they doing to our pets? So I checked this one out, right? And these are little treats, salmon oil. So I don't know how that salmon oil was extracted. I just don't know. So no can do. Okay, then this one I love. Wolfie almost died when he was very young. He was a rescue. He had his eye. He was found in a ditch, okay? And his eye had to be removed, and he was almost dead, sucking on his mother's, and she was dead, trying to get some milk out of her. So the vet made us buy this stuff, which we pay a fortune for. It's like, this little thing is like $40. And I went through this, and I looked at the ingredients, and I thought I wrote it, but maybe I didn't. But let me give you them, because I was kind of shocked, and we're going to be changing it. Here we go. It's on the side. All right, so this one here, that's Spanish. I'd like English, please. Ah, there it is, and I underlined it. So this one, our expensive $40 a bag food for him, has got both fish oil, no way that we don't know how it was extracted, and the worst of worst, the all-inclusive vegetable oil. So vegetable oils are the dirtiest of the dirties, pretty much. It's in that category, and we're changing that. So what do we do for our poor pets? Well, it's kind of odd because Pico, he's pretty good. He's got a iron stomach, and I can get him anything. And I noticed in the food that we were getting him, it had the salmon for his omega-3s and all that stuff in it, but it had the oils. So we found this thing at all places at Aldi's, which I'm beginning to like a lot more than I thought I would because of all the bad stuff. I wonder who was promoting all that bad stuff about Aldi's, but this is what I bought. It's Aldi's. It's called Pure Being, grain-free. And I always buy the salmon because of the omega-3s. And this is deboned salmon and sweet potato recipe. All right, now I was shocked to read this, to be honest with you. The ingredients on this, the ingredients. Now there's a lot of them, but everything was clean. Chicken meal, sweet potatoes, fava beans, pea starch, chicken, lentils. I'm not going to read the whole thing because there's a lot in it. It does have fish oil, and it doesn't say how it's extracted. So it's going to have that, but that's it. It's got the fish oil. And I'm going to go with this over the others because to me, the vegetable oil and the soybean oils, just they're a non-starter for us. Okay, so that's that. Now, let me show you some stuff that I did find. One more. I think this had something in it. Okay, yes. So, this here was an olive tapenade that I bought. It's yum. I really like it a lot. But I learned that it has sunflower oil in it as the third ingredient. So I don't use much, maybe a teaspoon or so, very rarely. I'll probably finish this bottle up, but I won't be buying it again with the sunflower oil. That's that. The same with the pesto. This pesto sauce with wild garlic. And this one did come from Italy. Well, oh, there we go. I can't see it because I'm blind as a bat. And of course, that white labeling, the white ingredients that I told you about. But anyway, check the pestos. That had bad oils in it. Now, then there was some that I bought that I was kind of surprised. You would think that a salad dressing would be really bad, wouldn't you? Well, I bought this one a while back. And this is called Mother Raw Organic Ranch, okay? This expressly says on it, cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, filtered water, lemon juice, it says, hemp seeds, and I can see them, they're whole hemp seeds in here, or crushed at the very least. It's got coconut palm sugar on it, not the oils. Oils, again, that's a different thing with the extraction. So it's got some nutritional yeast in it, which is good in small amounts. Got some garlic. So this one here, it specifically said cold pressed expeller. When they do that, yes, it could be a marketing ploy, but also, if they're that aware, then you have to at least give them a chance, okay? It's not Swanson or Hershey, you know. This one here, we'll probably keep this one because it's really not that bad, but it's a creamy coconut corn chowder that we bought. But on further inspection, when I looked today, desperately looking for something with the bad oils, it had bran oil, and I really don't know how bad that is. And we'll probably keep this one since it's not the bad stuff. It's plant-based corn chowder. And then now and this one. Here's another one, guys. It is possible to buy these foods. I'm telling you, you don't have to poison yourself. You don't have to be sick. Look at this. This is yum yum. Cocada coconut spread. Okay? And it's brownie flavored. And when I went through and looked at this, gosh, I wish I had a light. It has coconut. It has unsweetened dark cocoa. It has vanilla extract. It has sea salt. And it has carrageen and it's specifically, the carrageen was done with red seaweed. And it is organic. So even peanut butters and stuff, you can get them that have been cold expressed or where it doesn't have all these oils in them. So try to do your best with the cleanest. The absolute cleanest, if you pick up something like this, was quinoa. Okay? It says on here, on the back, ingredients, organic quinoa. Okay, that's it, organic quinoa. And I was really surprised about this one. Remember I said, don't eat the frankenfoods if you're trying to cut down on meat and you're trying to go vegetarian and stuff. Don't eat the frankenfoods. I was shocked at this. Tim picked it up. It's a plant-based chicken chopped fajita. And I thought, oh boy, this is definitely going to have some bad oils because almost all of them do. It has texturized protein blend of pea and rice protein, fermented from shiitake mushrooms, pea protein, pea fiber, onion powder, spices, chili pepper, paprika. Now these are the spices in parentheses. Chili pepper, paprika, cumin seed, black pepper, red bell pepper, green bell peppers, garlic powder, sea salt, and jalapeno powder. Jalapeno peppers. So not all of the plant-based foods, when you're trying to substitute chickens, a lot of them are made from beans, like if you get a veggie burger, sometimes they're bean burgers. You can make your own also. And I know when you first taste them, it tastes like crap and you don't want to try it. You say, no, I'm used to chicken, I'm used to meat. I'm not saying cut it all out. Cut out all your meat, cut out all your chicken. I'm not saying that in any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying is cut it down to 9% of your diet, guys. 9%. And there's not a darn thing if you're trying to taper off of that meat, eating so much of it, using a product if it's clean as can be like this. Okay, so that's what I have for you. One thing I'm going to say is if something, a down and dirty trick, if you forget your glasses like we do often and you can't read the stuff on these little labels that are meant for eagles to read, if you can't do that, look at the number of ingredients. If you got a panel like this and there's that much ingredients, 30 ingredients in it, just put it back because something in it's usually bad, okay? Just put it back. It's got something bad in it. If you've got just a few, 1 or 2 ingredients, if you got food ingredients in it and you can see that panel and it's very short, in all probability, that's the ones you want to go for. But again, it still could have an oil in there that's bad. But you're much better off. That's the down and dirty. If you forget your glasses and can't read the things, that's the way to go. Okay, so Manuka is coming up, Manuka honey, and the honeys are coming up really soon. On this particular channel, on Dan's channel, there's going to be, on Dan's. On the Pharmacist channel, there's going to be a video of communications between Dan and I on the med beds, very early communications that we had. And that's going to be coming up soon. And I'm going to throw in a new one here for you just because it'll come up soon, probably before the one with Dan, because I'm going to film it. It's a down and dirty quick one. And what it is, it demonstrates what I've told you guys in the past about why this is taking so long. It was a massive infiltration that could have killed us in a lot of ways. Somebody could have gotten into the systems. So I'm going to go over that. It was a recent bust, and I'm going to go over that and create that a relatively short one for the Pharmacist channel. Before I do Dan's, I work on everything simultaneously, but this is going to be a quick one that I can put up for you on the Pharmacist channel. So I love you guys. I hope this was helpful to you. Water will be coming up soon. We're going to do the Berkey filter and the various kinds of filters and what they take out. And I love every one of you, and I'm so thankful every day. Tell your friends, tell your parents. If your parents are still eating, you know, my mom, when she was young, she cooked whole foods all the time because she was taught by my Italian grandmother on my dad's side how to cook. Again, the foods back then, they would take that can of tomato paste, throw it in there. We had no idea they were lined with plastics at the time and they're putting highly acidic, but she made an attempt. But as she got older, she started going with a lot more processed foods like most of the world did. So if your parents are really, really sick, even if they're not really sick and you want them to last as long as possible with you, share this video with them. Let them take some notes. Write this stuff down. Start looking when they go grocery shopping, because this is what's going to kill you guys. The food supply is going to do it. So And if it doesn't kill you now, it's going to make a very painful life of arthritis and all kinds of other diseases that are related to the breakdown of our nervous system and inflammation of our nervous system. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.